Hi, good afternoon everybody. My name is Elad and I'm from Tel-Aviv University. I'm coming from the Department of Communication of the Faculty of Social Sciences. I'm going to speak about the research that I conducted throughout my master thesis under the supervision of Dr. Elad Segev, also from the Department of Communication. So, what we're going to speak about in the next 10 or 11 minutes is about health information, social media, and hemophilia as a case study that will be presented here as symbolized both phrases. And of course the linkage between these three phrases. So to understand this triangle, we first need to understand the basics of health information. What is health information and how does it shape by information and communication technologies? So just to set up the basics for it, health information, there's a consensus nowadays that we're seeing an emergence of a more open social internet network. You can disagree, but you can see it also in how its effect on e-commerce and advertising marketing, and also affect the health industry, health and medical industry. So we can see it on several platforms, such as collective intelligence writing, known as wiki pages that related to medical conditions, blogs that written by patients, physicians, doctors, pharmacists, and of course patients, online discussion forums, and of course social online networks. And all these platforms are highly relevant to chronic illness or chronic patients, which they are delivering messages of information, delivering more medical information for patients. That this information is basically crucial for them for managing their own specific lifestyle and unique lifestyle. And as a case study, we concentrated on hemophilia. Hemophilia, it's a chronic, it's a rare inherited bleeding disorder, which caused by lack of clotting factors, factor 8, factor 9, and it can cause bleeding, inner bleedings to muscles, internal organs, and joints. So this is on one end, and another end, on the other end of this, it's actually defined as a rare disease with a frequency of only 1 to 7,500 male birth, and it also involves of self-treatment and unique lifestyle. So these three aspects actually make hemophilia as a really unique lifestyle, a unique case study to understand the social media needs of the patients. And because of the fact that hemophilia patients are in constant need for medical information and health information, they sometimes turn to their own hemophilia local organizations. And these organizations are used for them as a network of support, mediators of information, or gatekeepers of health information, if you will, and self-training facilities for developed countries and raise funding in developing countries. These differences is really going to show in the next few slides. So only a few studies conducted on this area. Both of them actually took place in the UK, and we decided to expand the horizon of this case study and look on the global and the localization of this idea. In very shorthand, we used as a theoretical framework the social construction of technology, or shorthand SCOT, that coined by Trevor Pinch and Weaver Baker in 1984. They both came from the sociology field area, and very short, what they try to do is to say the technology or technological artifact is not a black box. Every technology, any technological artifact is shaped and modified and even changed by the society or the relevant social group that surrounded it. And we decided to use this theoretical framework to understand something complex as a Facebook page of a hemophilia organization. And we actually wanted to find and identify which are the relevant social groups for this kind of technology. And what we found actually that there are several actors. First, there are the users that divided to patients and patients-related relatives, and the content provider, which are the hemophilia organizations, and the technological infrastructure, which is presented by Facebook company itself. So our objectives and goals were in two scales. The first one is to, in global scale, to identify and describe the differences of social media platforms of hemophilia organizations between and different countries, and in more local scale, to identify the social relevant groups to study the usage and construction of a social media platform. And we decided to use a case study of hemophilia Facebook pages. And the reason why we chose this this hemophilia organization Facebook pages is because it's the most, it's got a high frequency of showing in patients' lives and the fusing of social media. So we began looking in Facebook for related content, related Facebook pages, and we first came out with 261 Facebook pages that related to hemophilia. After scanning, we actually found 43 Facebook pages of hemophilia organization, and then I began approaching this organization's representatives, and I got back respondents from 15 different organizations. So we used the methodology that is based in the Scott approach of qualitative research of snowball sampling. We first approached these 15 organization representatives, and then to another 15 users, which divided to 10 patients and 5 relatives of hemophilia patients that weren't in the legal responsibility age to answer these questions. And few selected the findings for this one. First one, we found local online activities. This one you can see a Facebook page of the Australia organization, the way they mention in the Hemophilia Awareness Week. They put it in something they called Red Cake Day, and we found that actually this is diffused into New Zealand, Ireland, UK, and now in the States. The fact they are raising awareness for hemophilia by filming, Instagramming, tweeting, and uploading photos of red cakes eventually to the Facebook page. But in more functionality way, we found that there is a cross-national activities just like self-infusion that is diffused between countries. And one of the most traditional things and events that we can see on Facebook pages for hemophilia organizations is what the hemophiliacs call it shot camps. And I don't mean by the alcohol, I mean about the infusion. The treatment for hemophilia is on IV of the clotting factor that is lacked in factor 9 or factor 8. And children from the age of 8 to 15 are learning from the elders how to infuse themselves, how to perform an IV by themselves from the age of 8. So we found that in a very similar way, all the 15 different Facebook pages of the hemophilia organizations are using the same way to inform the patients before the camp start, to recruit volunteers, and to send messages to the parents that left at home and they are worried, scared that their son is holding a needle for the first time and is going to stab himself. And after the camp is ending, we're witnessing in a very more survey that the patients are using the Facebook page to race each other to see how much they dosed in this week, and how much the factor they can put up and take from this week another, and it's actually a power. They are giving social support from one each other. And this one, it's actually a unique story that we found in the interviews, which is related to the theme that a network of medical information. During an interview with a mother of a 5-year-old hemophilia toddler in the UK, I actually talked to her there, and she told me about a story that happened a year ago. Her son was complaining about headache, and she took him to the near and local ER. It's a very small hospital west of London, and doctor who not really familiar with hemophilia told her that she need to take her son back to home, and he need to get some sleep and some rest, and it'd be fine in the morning. So she did. She did it, and she went back home, and she write down on this Facebook page of the Hemophilia Society of the UK this story. And the other parents of other hemophilia children told her that it sounds like it's a beginning of inner bleed in the head, and she need to take him to a CT or to hemophilia treatment center as a HTC. And she did. She took him, and they found in the CT that there's a beginning of an inner head bleed, but he was treated and took the proper medication, and he's saved. And she basically told me in the interview that Facebook saved my life, I think, or the other parents from this page. And this one, the last one, it's a network of support, and this one, it's deserve a whole different lecture. In Nigeria and in India, where there isn't enough medication of for hemophilia, just like in Nigeria, they're using the Facebook page of the organization in a more therapeutic way to identify with each other, to provide social support, and they are not talking about medication because they got no, but they are also using the Facebook page to empowerment for each other. To conclude, social media is used globally by hemophilia patients for communication with one another as a network of self-empowerment and social information. Facebook public pages are being used by hemophilia patients for training, consulting, and source for medical information. And despite the global and cultural differences, there are similar aspects between hemophilia organizations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, it's a great investigation. It is very interesting to know, to learn how social media and, technology and science can be used for good or for bad. For example, in Guatemala we have a very tragic case about the using of Facebook, because 2 girls were killed after being contacted by a person on Facebook. So I would like to know who are in charge of filling the page, because it's interesting to know that they have many followers. So who are in charge? Is a social communicator, is a patient, is a community manager?
Most of the administrators of these Facebook pages are volunteers. Basically teenagers or volunteers that we saw on this kind of camps. But also sometimes this overall manager, I came across the organization that the CEO of the organization, basically she's doing everything. She's the chief of communication, and she's also a nurse, and basically she even don't live in her own home place of the organization, and she's using Facebook to manage from far away the organization.
That example also demonstrates the power of appealing to emotions, and that is the main objective of social media. Who is in charge of verifying the information that is posted?
I think that most of them are are consulting with the local physicians. They are not posting anything that really related to the health of children or health of patients in general without consulting with the local physicians. And if not, they have basically most of them have the usual response of ask your doctor, and he will tell you the answer.
Do you think that for neglected diseases, will also function or work something like this?
What?
To spread information and raise awareness about neglected diseases as child disease, tuberculosis, or...
Actually, there are a few similar researchers in the field of diabetes to understand how diabetes is using social media for their own uses. It's pretty much the same, but only in the field that the factor 8 or factor 9 is cost a lot more than
Did you find any collaboration between the different Facebook pages, or are they still find exactly by their own
Actually, it's very interesting because in the United States, every county and every city is being used and managed in a very, very different way. They got other restrictions, other rules that they're consulting are in healthcare and using the Facebook page and their own different targets.